First contact and cultural exchange. Captain Maya Chen stood at the viewport of the diplomatic shuttle, watching as the massive crystalline structures of Shore Prime grew larger against the backdrop of twin purple moons. After 3 years of careful negotiations following first contact, she was leading the first human delegation invited to train with the legendary Xiorian combat masters. The gravity of her mission weighed on her shoulders more than the extra equipment packed for the 6-month stay. Approaching final descent vector, Captain, Lieutenant Kovacs called from the pilot's seat. The Xiorians have cleared us for their central training grounds. Maya nodded. Everyone, final equipment check. Remember, we're guests here. Diplomatic representatives first, soldiers second. Her team of 8 specialists had been chosen not just for their martial prowess, but for their adaptability and temperament. Dr. Eliza Wong, xenobiologist. Commander James Okafor, hand-to-hand combat expert. Lieutenant Riza Ahmadi, tactical analyst. And 5 others, each bringing unique skills to what the UN Space Command was officially calling a cultural exchange program. The truth was more complicated. The Xiorians, with their imposing 4-armed physiology and natural exoskeletons, had established themselves as the dominant military force in this sector of space. Their martial tradition, Kafori, was renowned across 12 star systems. This invitation wasn't just cultural outreach, it was assessment. The shuttle touched down on a platform of polished blue stone. As the doors hissed open, Maya was struck by the difference in air, denser, with a faint metallic taste. Their environmental suits compensated automatically, but nothing could prepare them for the sight that awaited them. 8 Xiorians stood in perfect formation. Each stood nearly 8 feet tall, their iridescent exoskeletons catching the light of the alien sun. 4 powerful arms were crossed in various positions across their torsos, and their compound eyes, hundreds of crystalline facets, reflected the humans in kaleidoscopic multiplicity. The lead Xiorian stepped forward. I am Supreme War Teacher Xavik. You are smaller than anticipated. The translator in Maya's ear conveyed not just the words but the underlying tone, something between disappointment and curiosity. Maya stepped forward and performed the greeting they'd been taught. Right hand open at heart level, left hand open at waist level, a slight bow from the shoulders. Supreme War Teacher, I am Captain Maya Chen of Earth. We are honored by your invitation to learn Kafori. Xavik's head tilted, mandibles clicking softly. The Council of Elders believes exchange of combat knowledge will build trust between our peoples. I remain unconvinced. Your species lacks both strength and proper limb configuration. Commander Okafor tensed beside her, but Maya kept her diplomatic smile. We understand we face physical limitations, Supreme War Teacher, but humans have always adapted. We hope to learn what we can of your prestigious traditions. We shall see. Kazivik turned sharply. First meal, then assessment. Follow. The Xiorian accommodations were cavernous by human standards, with ceilings 20 feet high and doorways that made the humans feel like children. The training facility itself was spectacular, an arena of the same blue stone as the landing platform, open to the purple-tinged sky and surrounded by terraced seating. After a meal of synthesized proteins calibrated for human consumption, the assessment began. Each human was paired with a Xiorian instructor who towered over them. Maya watched with growing concern as her team members struggled through basic forms. James Okafor, a master of 5 Earth martial arts, couldn't complete even the simplest Kafori blocking sequence. The movements required coordination between 4 limbs that humans simply didn't possess. Dr. Wong fell repeatedly attempting a defensive stance. Lieutenant Ahmadi couldn't generate enough force to activate the training sensors with his strikes. By day's end, even Maya, who had studied recordings of Xiorian movement for months, was covered in bruises and frustrated. Supreme War Teacher Xavik observed without comment, 4 arms clasped behind his back. That is sufficient for today, he finally announced. You will rest. Tomorrow we continue with elementary forms. In their quarters that night, The team gathered to review recordings of their training. "This is impossible," Lieutenant Santos said, nursing the sprained wrist. "Their basic techniques require 4 independently articulating limbs. We literally can't do what they're asking." "It's not just the limbs," Dr. Wong added. "Their exoskeletons allow for impact absorption we can't match. Did you notice how they generate power? Each limb operates almost independently." Maya studied the recordings closely. "Yes, but there's something else here. Look at how segmented their movements are. Each arm performs discrete actions. Like 4 separate fighters in one body," James suggested, leaning forward. "Exactly." Maya stood up and tried a movement. "In human martial arts, we generate power through whole-body coordination. Hips, torso, shoulders working together in sequence. We create kinetic chains. While they rely on raw power and multiple impact points," Riza completed the thought. "Different evolutionary solutions to the same problem." "Tomorrow," Maya decided, "let's stop trying to be bad Kshaurians and start being good humans." The next morning, when Supreme War Teacher Ksavik demonstrated a defensive sequence involving 4 simultaneous blocks, Maya approached it differently. Instead of attempting to block in 4 places at once, she created fluid, circular movements that accomplished the same defensive coverage through continuous motion rather than discrete actions. Ksavik noticed immediately. "Stop. This is not what I demonstrated." Maya bowed respectfully. "Supreme War Teacher, I cannot move as a Kshaurian moves, but perhaps I can achieve the same purpose in a human way. Show me again." As Maya flowed through her adapted sequence, she noticed Ksavik's compound eyes shifting, analyzing her movements from multiple angles simultaneously. When she finished, the massive alien was silent for a long moment. "Interesting approach. Continue." Over the following weeks, each human began finding their own adaptations. James discovered ways to use the Kshaurians' weight against them through redirecting momentum. Eliza developed techniques that leveraged human flexibility. Riza created defensive movements that exploited the blind spots in Kshaurian compound vision. 3 weeks into training, a breakthrough occurred. During paired practice, James managed to evade a Kshaurian training partner's attacks for nearly a minute, something previously thought impossible given the speed advantage of 4 arms. His movements were continuous, efficient, and unpredictable. That evening, Ksavik summoned Maya to his private meditation chamber. The room was sparse by Kshaurian standards, with only a shallow pool of luminescent liquid at its center. "You said you were diplomats and learners, not warriors," Ksavik stated, 4 arms in a contemplative position. "That's correct, Supreme War Teacher. Yet you adapt to Kafori techniques faster than any species we have encountered." "How?" Maya considered her answer carefully. "Humans have always had to adapt. On our homeworld, we weren't the strongest, fastest, or most naturally armed species. Our survival depended on adaptation and learning." Ksavik's mandibles clicked. A sound Maya had learned indicated deep thinking. "Perhaps this is why the Council chose humans first. Our other alliances are with species more physically similar to ourselves. And you've never faced the challenge of teaching someone so different," Maya suggested. "No. It is enlightening." Ksavik moved to a wall covered in intricate crystalline patterns. "Tomorrow, I will show you the sacred forms of Kafori. They have never been taught to non-Kshaurians." The next day, when Ksavik demonstrated the ancient form, Maya was struck by its beauty and complexity. After her 3rd attempt to adapt the movements, Ksavik placed one massive hand gently on her shoulder. "Your body is limited," the Kshaurian said, "but your mind adapts quickly. This is strength of a different kind." For the first time, Maya saw something like respect in the alien's compound eyes. The purple light of Shore's moons illuminated the training ground as Maya and James practiced together late into the night. 2 months of daily training had transformed their bodies and movements. James performed a fluid counter-sequence that seamlessly defended against attacks from multiple angles. "Remember," Maya called out, "what Ksavik taught us today. True strength adapts to overcome all obstacles. Later, Maya found Dr. Wong analyzing recordings of Shorian training sessions. "I've realized something," Eliza said without looking up. "The Shorians never needed to develop efficiency in their combat. With 4 arms and natural armor, they could afford energy-intensive movements, while humans had to become efficient to survive." Maya added, understanding immediately. "Exactly. Look at how much energy they expend for simple actions. They're incredible fighters, but they waste power." The next day, Eliza asked to demonstrate something to the class. She invited a Shorian student to attack her repeatedly at full speed. The alien was twice her size with 4 powerful arms, yet Eliza defended herself for nearly 3 minutes without being hit, her movements continuous and flowing. When they finished, Eliza was drenched in sweat, but still standing. The Shorian was breathing hard too, harder than expected for such a short exercise. "How are you not defeated?" the Shorian asked, mandibles quivering in what they now recognized as confusion. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters," Dr. Wong explained. "Our ancestors chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're built for endurance." Supreme War Teacher Xavik stepped forward, all 4 arms in a position they'd never seen before. "It seems Shorians and humans have different strengths. Your adaptations are not corruption of Kaofori, but complementary approaches." As the 3rd month began, the training fundamentally changed. Instead of trying to teach humans to perform Shorian techniques poorly, the instructors began working with the humans to develop hybrid forms that played to human strengths. They discovered that human fine motor control allowed for targeting precision that the Shorians couldn't match. Human flexibility enabled joint manipulations impossible for the more rigid Shorian physiology. And the human ability to coordinate their entire body as one unit created surprising power despite their smaller frames. One afternoon, Maya watched James working with Xavik's junior instructor on a new technique that was neither purely Shorian nor purely human. "I never expected this outcome," Maya said to Xavik, who stood beside her. "Nor did I," the master admitted. "We came to teach, but we are also learning." "Do you think the council will be disappointed that we're not simply copying your techniques?" Xavik's mandibles formed what Maya had learned was a Shorian smile. "The council sent us to build understanding between our peoples. I believe we are achieving that goal in ways they never anticipated." Across the training floor, Eliza executed a spinning move that flowed seamlessly into a lock that even worked on a 4-armed opponent. "We're creating something entirely new here," Maya observed. "Yes," Xavik agreed. "Something neither human nor Shorian, perhaps better than either alone." The unexpected challenge and triumph. 6 months had passed since the human delegation first arrived on Shore Prime. What began as a tentative cultural exchange had evolved into a revolutionary combat synthesis. The training facility had expanded to accommodate new arrivals from Earth, military personnel, martial artists, and movement specialists who had heard about the groundbreaking techniques being developed. Colonel Jasmine Kwan stepped off the transport shuttle, her eyes widening at the sight of the sprawling complex that now dominated this section of the Shorian capital. As Earth's foremost expert on integrated combat systems, she had been specifically recruited to help formalize what was now being called Adaptive Combat Synthesis, or ACS. Maya Chen greeted her at the airlock. In 6 months, Maya's body had transformed dramatically. Lean, purposeful muscle had replaced the softness of spaceflight, and she moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost unnatural. "Colonel Kwan, welcome to Shore," she said with a bow. "We've been looking forward to your arrival." "The videos I've seen are impressive," Jasmine replied, returning the bow. "But I have questions about how you're managing against opponents with 4 arms and natural armor." Maya smiled. "You'll see soon enough. Supreme War Teacher Xavik is particularly interested in meeting you." Inside the facility, Jasmine was stunned by the sight of humans and Shorians training together. In one area, James was demonstrating the spinning evasion technique to a group of mixed species. In another, A Kshaurian instructor was carefully analyzing slow-motion recordings of human movements. "This is much more advanced than I expected," Jasmine admitted. "It's evolved quickly," Maya explained. ACS is neither human martial arts nor HFY, but something entirely new. Supreme War Teacher Xavik approached them, his imposing height still striking despite Jasmine's familiarity with Kshaurian physiology from her briefings. He placed his lower right hand over his chest in a Kshaurian greeting. "Colonel Kwan, your expertise in Earth combat integration is well documented. I look forward to seeing how your knowledge enhances ACS." Over the next 2 months, Jasmine worked closely with both human and Kshaurian instructors. She discovered that while Kshaurians were nearly impossible to defeat with traditional techniques due to their 4 arms and superior strength, they were surprisingly vulnerable to certain joint manipulations and momentum redirections that exploited their different anatomy. She also introduced breathing techniques from Earth's martial traditions that helped humans generate more internal power. Combined with the momentum-based movements already developed in ACS, these techniques allowed humans to create striking power that surprised even the Kshaurians. One morning, the Council of Elders arrived unannounced. The 3 ancient Kshaurians, their exoskeletons faded to a pale blue with age, watched training sessions all day without comment, their compound eyes revealing nothing of their thoughts. As evening approached, they finally requested a meeting with both human and Kshaurian leadership. "What we have witnessed today changes everything," Elder Verazix announced to the assembled group. "This is not just cultural exchange anymore. ACS represents a revolutionary combat system with implications for all our allied species." Xavik nodded. "It has evolved beyond our expectations. We propose a formal demonstration," Elder Verazix continued. "A tournament between human ACS practitioners and Kshaurian warriors, a public event to showcase what has been achieved together." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. Humans were still physically outmatched, shorter, weaker, with half as many limbs. In traditional combat, the outcome would be predictable and potentially embarrassing for humanity. Would such a competition not highlight the physical disadvantages humans face? Asked Dr. Wong cautiously. Elder Verazix's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Perhaps, or perhaps it will demonstrate that ACS has overcome those disadvantages." After much debate, the tournament was approved. 6 weeks of intensive preparation followed. 20 human practitioners, including Maya and Jasmine, were selected to compete against 20 Kshaurian warriors in various skill categories. The day of the tournament arrived. A massive arena had been constructed with delegates from both Earth and Shore in attendance. Cameras broadcast the event to both worlds. The first matches went as expected. Despite their ACS training, most humans were simply overpowered by their Kshaurian opponents. By midday, humans had lost 8 matches and won only 2, once when James managed to exhaust his opponent through superior endurance, and once when Dr. Wong used precision targeting to affect a Kshaurian pressure point discovered during their research. Then came Maya's match against Krazek, a Kshaurian warrior renowned for his speed. He towered over her, his 4 arms rippling with power beneath his gleaming exoskeleton. "This will be quick," someone muttered in the stands. When the signal to begin came, Krazak launched forward with surprising speed for his size. But Maya didn't retreat. She stepped toward him, ducking under his first strike and moving inside his reach. Her hands touched his leading arm briefly, not striking but sensing. Krazak's 4 arms became a blur as he attacked from multiple angles simultaneously. Maya seemed to flow around the strikes, her body never where his hands expected to find her. When she moved, it was with purpose. Small redirections to his arms, subtle shifts in position, constant motion. The crowd grew quiet, watching in confusion. This didn't look like fighting as either species understood it. 3 minutes in, Krazak's attacks grew stronger but less coordinated. He was using more energy with each movement while Maya remained composed. 5 minutes in, his strikes began to slow. 7 minutes in, Maya launched her first counterattack, a precise strike to a junction in his exoskeleton, followed by a sweeping motion that used his own momentum to unbalance him. Krazak stumbled but recovered quickly. His compound eyes focused with new intensity, recognizing the threat. He changed tactics, becoming more methodical, but Maya had studied this approach too. She matched his new rhythm, continuing to redirect and evade, waiting for the perfect opportunity. It came at the 9-minute mark. Krazak committed to a powerful forearm striking combination. Maya slipped between two of the strikes, stepped inside his guard, and executed a complex series of movements that culminated in using his own momentum to throw him off balance. As he fought to recover, she applied precise pressure to 3 key points simultaneously. Krazak froze, then slowly lowered all 4 arms in the Shorian gesture of submission. The arena was completely silent for 3 heartbeats. Then Supreme War Teacher Xavik stood and began a rhythmic clicking of his mandibles, the Shorian equivalent of applause. Others joined him, the sound swelling until it became thunderous. "Extraordinary," Elder Verazix announced, standing from his observer's position. "The human has defeated Krazak not through superior strength, but through superior efficiency and adaptation." In the remaining matches, humans won 7 more contests, each victory showcasing different aspects of ACS. Jasmine demonstrated how breathing techniques could generate surprising power. James showed how continuous motion could exhaust even the most powerful opponent. Lieutenant Ahmadi proved that human flexibility could counter the advantage of multiple limbs. When the tournament concluded, the Council of Elders invited both species representatives to a ceremonial chamber deep within the crystalline city. Elder Verazix addressed the assembled groups. "Today marks a turning point in the history of both our peoples. What began as a simple cultural exchange has revealed a profound truth, that different evolutionary paths can lead to complementary strengths. The adaptive combat synthesis you have developed together represents more than just a fighting style. It represents a model for how our species can collaborate." Maya stepped forward. "Supreme Elder, what happens now?" Now, the ancient Shorian's compound eyes sparkled with an emotion Maya couldn't quite identify. "Now we expand this program. We invite more humans to Xor, and we send Shorian students to Earth. We formalize ACS as a discipline to be taught to both our peoples." Supreme War Teacher Xavik moved to stand beside Maya. "And we recognize that the true strength of any species lies not in physical power alone, but in the ability to adapt, to learn, to transform limitation into advantage." 1 year later, training centers for adaptive combat synthesis had been established on 3 human colonies and 4 Shorian worlds. The techniques continued to evolve as more practitioners from both species contributed their insights. What had begun as a tentative diplomatic mission had transformed into a genuine partnership. Maya Chen, now Director of Interspecies Combat Integration, stood with Supreme War Teacher Xavik as they watched a demonstration by mixed teams of human and Shorian students. The humans moved with a fluidity that made their smaller size seem irrelevant. The Shorians had adopted elements of human efficiency that made their natural strength even more formidable. "I would never have believed this possible when you first arrived," Xavik admitted, his voice carrying the warm clicking tone that Maya now recognized as affection. "The Council of Elders was wiser than both of us," Maya replied. "They saw potential where we saw only differences. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of ACS," Xavik said thoughtfully. "That true strength comes not from relying on what we already possess, but from learning what we lack." Across the training floor, a human and Shorian moved in perfect synchronization, demonstrating a paired form that showcased the strengths of both species. Neither could have performed it alone, yet together they created something beautiful and powerful. "We came to learn your combat techniques," Maya reflected. "We never expected to create something entirely new." "The best teachers," Xavik replied, "are always willing to become students again." As the demonstration concluded, representatives from 3 other spacefaring species watched from the observation deck, already discussing how their own unique physiologies might contribute to the next evolution of adaptive combat synthesis. What had begun as a tentative bridge between two worlds was becoming a foundation for something much greater, a model for how different species could learn from one another's strengths rather than fear their differences.